Good morning, everyone. How are you on this Sunday morning or afternoon, depending on where you are? So today we're going to do part 4 of this TigTak Ender 3 conversion to a belt printer. I'm going to work on getting the power supply into its proper case now that they've modified the case to work with the Enders that we have. Apparently, they have a different version than we do. So I reached out to them, given the measurements. They made some changes. The parts fit. So we're going to put the power supply into its case. We are going to work on the x-axis. We may even transfer the main board over into its mounting unit, which is, again was modified. And let's see how far we'll get today. So I have Jerry in the background who's going to watch, chat, and so on as we go today. So let me bring Jerry in. Hey, Jerry, how are you?
Good morning. How are you, Liam? Hello, everyone.
It's early mornings. It's even earlier for you.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much for helping out, for monitoring the chat while we do this build.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure.
Yeah, and we're also going to try and mount the drawer in the front, because now that we have the proper mountings for the power supply and so on, we're actually going to mount the drawer in the front and put it into its permanent position. So just hang out for a few minutes, see if anyone else joins in, and if once we get one or two hanging out with us, we'll get going on this. So how is your build coming along anyway, Jerry, first of all?
Yeah, my first video there, when I put the frame together, it had like 1 million nuts, bolts. Anyway,
Yes,
I had to go back through and add some manually. And adding them manually takes a really long time, trying to push them in place, line them up, get the bolts started, because some of the T-nuts were different sizes. They're 4 millimeter, 5 millimeters. So you got to pre-check them by hand to make sure you got the right one. Hello, Free Heathen.
Good morning, Free Heathen. How are you?
Yeah, and then I've got the heater mounted. I've got that soldered up and mounted. And today and tomorrow, I will be getting caught up, getting my belt on, and more parts. So I can release the second video.
Okay, just a tip: the front and back rollers. Make sure you do not slide in your belt area. Good morning, Hutch. And make sure what you use. You put on the back roller, which is our free moving ones, and the ones that do not have the ribs for gripping the belt. Put the belt on. Then put the unit in, then slide it in from the back, because the ones with the grooves on it go in the front, and then you mount that separately, and that's how you have to do it. Otherwise, you're going to run into issues of them fitting into place.
All right.
So, how's everybody how are you in Canada, Jeff, British Columbia? So, we're going to do this part 4. We're going to get a power supply, put it into its proper box. We're going to try to work on the x-axis. We might even put the main board in, and we're going to mount the drawer, which is the tool drawer that's going to be on the front of the printer. Good morning, Printon. Okay, I probably am totally missing the enunciation.
Printer prawn. I'll say printer prawn.
Printer prawn works too. Yep, that works. Hi from Texas. So let's get the power supply done first. So we have to take this power supply that came with it. Let's switch over to the close-up view. We have to take this off, because this unit has to get mounted. Let me put that out of the way. Get mounted in here, because this is going underneath the printer. So let's start out by taking this apart. And we have some electrical connections now. Just make sure before you start this, take a photograph of the electrical connections, because if you get them plugged in the wrong spot, that's not going to be a good day.
Yeah.
So slide this out gently. Remove the connection to the power supply, to the printer. And we also need to use a screwdriver to remove these.
Thank you, Free Heathen. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Dominic, hello. Been a minute.
Oh, yeah, it has. Hey, Dominic. So, to take this out, you'll have to unplug these wires. Remember, this red wire goes back to the power supply, so this sticks with the other reds.
Liam, stop.
Yes, sir.
Just disconnect it from the power supply and pull them through. You don't need to unplug them.
No, it's just as easy to unplug them. Just switch cables. 1, 2. That was tight 3. That's it. So the red goes here, the earth goes here, and the black goes here.
Yeah. Be sure you take a picture to always make sure.
Yeah, you should. If you're unsure, you should take a picture. So the way these are going to go on is this is going to get mounted in here. This will be routed outside because this has to go out and power the printer. And in these three, this will get attached here, and then these three will get plugged in. So we can actually push this right now. And the ground is easy enough because the ground pin is lined up directly. So that's the yellow and green wire.
Printer Prawn says, I like to take a multimeter and test from male end of IEC cable to power switch leads to confirm.
Yeah, you could.
Subsector 3D, good morning, good morning.
So the black goes up here, which is lined up with its pin in here. And the only one you have to worry, the red goes out, actually plugs in underneath here. That's how they connect. And before we actually attach this, I'm going to bolt this into place. So does not come in the kit. So I actually happen to find some. These are M, and I have a few. Are these the right ones? I believe they are. Let me just check. Which are these? Is it these ones? Or no, actually, wrong ones. They're M4s, and they're actually a little bit longer than what I had. I had M45s. These are M48s, I believe. Let me verify the length of them. These are M47s, M47s, which are unusual size, but I just happen to have 4 of them laying around. And we're going to bolt in the power supply underneath using the 4 holes that we have in the base. So we just line it up and get these started. But these are not in the kit. They should be, but they're not. It's a bit awkward to get these in. Let me get this.
Touches Makerspace, good morning, good morning. It says, morning all from BC, British Columbia.
Good morning, Hutch. Oh, by the way, Hutch, once again, you did fantastic yesterday by that laser that you could give to
Jamie.
Jamie.
Awesome.
Good kudos on that, man. Subsector, good morning. How are you? Jerry, can you do shout outs for everyone that's there? Because they all have, most of the guys that are there stream. Okay. Power supply mounted. Now, I need to figure out what length wires I need for this. Now, there is a cover for this, and I will not be installing the cover, but Jerry came up with was actually thinking of a good idea that if I print the cover and only print a part of it just to cover this electronics area here, and only that, that's a good idea. So I probably will end up doing that at some point. And I need to figure out how long, like, a
Subsector got her 3D printer for focus back up and running good.
Good. That's good to hear. So you need at least 8. So you're talking about 10 or 12 millimeter bolts for that. I am wondering. Now here's an issue. One of the bolts for this is on the bottom. One's on top. But this is a way of getting to the bottom one. So you can actually bolt in the bottom one. So let me see. You can see here. The bolt is actually down here, underneath the hole, and if you put it in, you can't bolt it in because this is in the way. You can't get to the bolt underneath. One would be fine if it's tight, but
and you can always hot glue it also and back.
You can always put a bit of hot glue in there or whatever. Yeah, just keep that in mind when you do this. So I need 10 millimeter bolts, and I'm going to use M3s because I have more M3s than I can imagine. I'm going to do with M3.
Oh, Travis.
Some MB12s is what I'm going to use. And I have the bolt for that. So I'm going to put a single M312 bolt in there. That should be sufficient to hold it into place.
I only done a shout out for 2 people in chat. I do not know if other people watching have a Twitch channel. If you do, let me know and I'll do a shout out to your channel. But I did Subsector and Free Heathen.
Chris has a channel, I believe. Hutch has a channel, I believe. Right size? No. Much smaller. Free Heathen definitely has a channel.
Yeah, I got Free Heathen. The Apprentice 2021. Hello, hello.
Good morning, The Apprentice. How are you? Chris has a channel, but it's not. But it's not even. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because obviously everybody that's typing has a channel, but they may not use it. It's kind of like YouTube.
And then there's two screws that go in here that will cover the electronics, the open electronics here.
Yeah, so you don't accidentally grab it for some reason, Zap.
Yeah. Then the other thing is you must remember as well. The good reason why is because this is mounted upside down, so all of this is open underneath the printer. So that's done. We'll get back to that in a moment. Now, I want to bring up the base because I want to attach the drawer mounting unit, which is easy enough. It's only a couple of bolts, but let's.
Hutch's Makerspace said he might start streaming soon.
Oh, cool. So I'm gonna. This is no longer needed. This piece here is no longer needed.
But don't throw it away, everybody. Keep it because you never know when you're going to build something. You'll need one. So always keep your parts.
Within reason, yes. Otherwise, you end up with a junkyard at home. Okay. So this is our printer as it stands today. You can see it better in the large view. What we're going to do is the tray unit actually mounts in here underneath the printer, and it also provides partial cover for this gear system, which is what drives our belt. And and then the other part comes on over here just to finish off this end.
Hello, Vincent, 1977. How are you?
Vincent, how are you? Good morning. Or good afternoon, sorry. So what we're going to do, I'm going to need some. I think they're empty. Let me verify the bolts. I think they're empty.
Good morning, Ben Brady.
Good morning, Ben.
The parts that we needed modded, Ben, have been done by the company. They're 100% accurate now. Thank you.
They're about 99%. There's need a little tweak.
Yeah. They work.
I will feed that back to them today. But they're very, very close. So they will work. With a small mod on our side, it will work. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this side. And the part that covers that will also hold the drawer. So I will need the drawer unit. Where did I put the drawer? Over here. So this is the drawer mount. And it fits into the grooves underneath. So I'm going to tilt the printer up a little bit. So what will happen is this partly covers this idler here. It gets bolted in. And then this will slot in to these grooves. And it gets mounted in here like so. Now, there is a piece missing that they haven't published yet, and they said they're going to publish it tonight, which is the part that bolts on here to the front of this rail and actually sits here and acts as a scoop for the parts to come off the printer. As the parts come off the printer, it scoops them and knocks them off the belt.
Part like sweep, yeah.
Yeah. So this requires two bolts, and then the other part will require 4 of them. And I need to get a very long, see if I have the right length. Is that long enough to reach? Just. Okay. This is going to be a bit awkward to put in place. I need 4 of these, actually 6 of these bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. Okay. Sorry, I'm off to the side. I actually, you know what? That actually that works. That works in the video.
Ben says, "Don't you love being a guinea pig?"
Yes, I do. Actually, this is fun for me. So yes, the answer is definitely yes. I enjoy doing this stuff. So what happens is on the side here, there's these little slots, and this locks in like that and holds the drawer into place. And then at the back, there's two little offsets here that fit into the V groove that hold the back of the trail because it's not going to be holding much weight. And on the other side, you have the same, but in this case, you have 4 bolts that have to go in, and it slides in as so, and that's what holds.
And your extrusion is already tapped, right?
The end of the 4040 is already tapped. Yes.
Yeah.
So the way we put this in, I'm going to mount one side, and then come back and worry about part side 2.
Is TigTak taking recommendations from these builds? Yes, Chris Travis.
Yes, yes. They are getting real-time feedback from me and from Jerry and other people saying this doesn't work, that doesn't work. You need to modify A, B, C, and D, and they're saying, okay, and they eventually do get it done. So
Ben Brady says, "I'm working on creating a balloon lithophane for my father-in-law's 90th birthday." Wow!
oh, nice.
Congrats to be alive at 90. Well, anyway, I'm not going to go there.
Is these long enough? Maybe I need longer, don't I? Let me just check, see if this goes in. You know what? That just barely catches. And what I want to do is, because these are so hard to get to,
And when if you snug it and it barely catches, it'll strip it, pop out.
yeah.
Possibly.
Well, it doesn't hold any weight, but what I want to do is, I'm going to use a piece of tape to hold these in, because if I don't, they'll fall out putting them into place.
Ben says, "Have we actually seen this printer working?" No, we haven't.
I have not seen it actually print, but I've seen other people who have done the build. Now, I've never seen, the only other person that I know in our normal group that we kind of meet up with, or to some extent, is a guy in the UK called Martin Henshaw, and he has built this printer, but he modified it because he's got a different board, and he wanted to set up slightly different, so he did a different base for his.
Chris Travis says, "How long does it take them to do a design change?" Well, that all depends on the day and the week, and it varies.
Who you're referring to? But I have actually got direct contact with one of the guys
Hello,
on
Sergio.
WeChat, and so I have a guy I can communicate directly with, and he has been, now that I can ping him directly, he has been far more responsive.
Yeah, they wanted me to get on WeChat. I'm like, why do I need to when I can just message you on Discord? And I never did.
Because of their the Great Firewall of China.
Yeah, VPN.
Yeah.
Sergio HVAC. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Sergio. I'm going to get one side locked in, and then I'm going to adjust. These are really hard to see.
Wouldn't it be better if that? Well, it wouldn't be for camera. If you had that straight up and down in the air, it might be easier to put that together, right?
Maybe. But why do I do it? Like, have you ever seen me do it the easy way?
Yeah.
But you have a good point. It's a bit hard to do because the belt's been attached.
Yeah, you'd have to support the back of the frame so it would sit upright. But
yeah, but I could do it this way.
Are they located in China? Ben Brady's wondering.
Sorry?
Ben wants to know if this company's out of China.
Yes. The company name is called CTC. But TigTak is the design of the belt, of the printer conversion.
CTC, Charlie, Tom, Charlie.
Yeah, I need light. Sorry, I need to get on my cell phone. I need a little bit of extra light to see where this connects in.
Yes, that's why I use the light constantly to see where things go.
There we go. I just need to get it into the head of the bolt to get it started.
And thank you very much for everybody that came out to my hangout yesterday when we gave away the Focus FE20 diode laser. That was awesome. Thank you,
Yep.
everybody, for all the subscribes, the likes, or the follows. Everything was awesome.
So I need to do a bit of alignment underneath because I need to make sure that um,
Hello, Matt.
this
Matt
frame is
Bell.
properly into the extrusion on this side to bring it square. So I am
Chris
going to stand it
Travis
up and
likes
do so.
Chris Travis likes using a headlamp to see things.
I normally do. I just don't have one with me right now. That's a bit
Thank you, Subsector. It takes everybody in the community to make a great stream, but I do my best on my input to try to make it as good as possible.
Okay, well, that's a bit of a weird fit. So I have to figure out why it's not fitting flush over here. But now that this is attached, these bolts are easier to put in because I can get to them underneath.
Well, I originally was doing my dark blue theme, and then I bought some black PLA, and I got low on that. So then I just started printing the rest of the parts in white PLA plus. I kind of gave up on trying to get it all the same color.
Yeah, I done green for everything on top, and I did black for everything underneath the belt, so it kind of meshes in with the color of the belt underneath. Basically, all I'm doing is I'm bolting these into place. What I will do is the four holes around the front there. I will get some. I probably will print some parts over TPU that'll go in there and fill those like little grommets to go in there, just to cover it.
What's up? I'm back. I can't pronounce the name. Glarsis. I sorry, I can't. If I'm not saying it right. He said, "What's up? I'm back."
We're just continuing the TigTak build. What did Ben say? I'm not likely to do this bet mod. I'm most likely to go with the company in Italy instead. There's also another guy called Ike Moore that has a belt conversion that he has done, and he has been working with Adam from Tiny Belt 3D. And with Adam, Adam has actually designed the belt for him. And Adam does custom belts because he done them from. So that looks good. What do you think?
Very nice.
Now, there is a part that has to go on here that actually is a wedge, and the wedge, as the parts come off the belt, the wedge catches them and flips them off. You can actually use your drawer as a catch-all, potentially, so the parts flip off and fall in the drawer.
TPU print 30 or 40 millimeters a second. Don't print fast with TPU.
Yeah, print slow, and if you've got a PEI bed or any textured bed, do not print it on textured surface because it will bond to it and you will have a hell of a time to get it off. On a smooth surface,
PEI works fine.
PEI will work okay, but you may find that to get the part off it, you may have to spray it with water around the edges or IPA to get the part slip. But water, some people say IPA, some people say water. I find water is often better, but everyone has their own.
Hello, Bear. How are you?
So the part that's going to go in here, they act as a blade, preheating nerd. Yep. And the part, the blade part that's going to be added on here, they're going to be posting the video, the STL files tonight apparently, because I asked them about it the other day, and I got a response last night saying we'll do it tomorrow, and that's tonight our time. So for now, I'm going to leave the drawer out of there because we do not need it in there. And here I just dumped a whole pile of parts on the floor. Perfect. So we have that done, and the drawer is in there. The power supply is mounted in its box, which we can install if you wish to underneath.
Ben's interested in a printer coming out of Italy, he says.
There is a belt company. There is a company in Italy that does a belt printer. There is. Now, to mount the power supply box, there's T-nuts you have to use now, and that's going to be awkward because the T-nut has to go between these. It would have been better if they actually used longer bolts and just bolted it straight on top of them there, but they haven't. They actually used a T-nut, so I have to take these out, put in the T-nuts, mount the power supply box, and then wire up and then put these back in again, which is actually I won't be able to put them back in because the power supply box will get in the way. So there is a design flaw there that we need to correct. I'll explain the design flaw in a moment. So let me come to the side here and I can show you. I'm going to be off camera. I'm off to the side. So they have 2 holes in this for mounting, right? 2 holes here. Turn it around so it's easier to see, right? These 2 holes, the problem is this is so wide, it's going to cover these. And you have to have a T-nut in between them. So you'll have to, I'll have to take these off, put in T-nuts, put them back on, and then do the alignment. Because the power supply goes in as so.
There's not enough room to put in the T-nut and spin it first?
I'll have to put the T-nut in there, remove the bolts, put T-nuts in, close the bolts, and then align up the T-nuts. So let me do that. And I'll spin this over and flip it up on edge. This is all going to shift, but that's okay. As long as it falls slowly and not quickly, it will work, right? So, on the large camera here, you can see better. So I'm going to remove the 2 bottom T-nuts because the way this has to go in.
Can you flip cameras while you're working up in there?
Flip cameras to what view? You want the big view or the small view? The big view?
I want the little one to go big. That way we can see what you're doing in there.
You mean like that?
Yeah, that's perfect. That way people can see what you're doing.
So this is going to mount on here, but because I need T-nuts for these 2 bolts are right here, because this mounts in like so, and actually those holes don't even line up. This is too long. I'll have to move the holes in. Yeah, they move stuff, but it didn't shorten this. So what I'm going to do, I won't be able to mount that now because of that, but I will do is I'm going to mark it.
Liam's trying to work that out. He thinks it's his printer. He's not sure why his video quality is not sharp. It should be.
Yeah, no, it's controlled by OBS on my computer, so it can't be controlled.
No, Chris Travis, I'm not logged in as Liam's credentials, so I can't control his screen.
Even then, you couldn't do it because it's all covered via virtual camera, and that's all on my local machine.
No, what he meant was, I see what he's saying. Okay, I thought he meant just to mess with chat and pictures and stuff like that.
Oh, so in the center, I'm going to mark with these where this should be, and I'm going to have to drill these out of mine, and then I'll feed back to them about this new position.
Subsector says on TPU, should I turn over the focus glass plate over?
Yes,
and not print on the textured side.
Correct, and do so when use some PVA glue on the surface. So I've marked 2 spots here. 2 spots. They're offset by about 10 mil. So they'll have to move the design. Let me just measure how far it is. From center, it's about 9.5 millimeters. So they'll have to move them in 9.5 millimeters. And I'll give them that feedback. So they have to shorten this, because when that's mounted, that's sticking over the edge by probably 9.5 millimeters. And it shouldn't be. So let me see. It's sticking over by about 5.5, 6 millimeters. 6 millimeters. Yeah, so it's overhanging 6 millimeters. So this is 6 millimeters too long, and these bolts need to be moved. These holes need to be moved about 10 millimeters. Should be good. in 9.5, 10 millimeters. So I will feed them back that today, but I can drill this myself later on. So I can't do that. But that's why we beta test, guys, right? So we can't do the power supply or anything else because I'm sure the other case, which is for this other case, is for the main board that I'll mount on here, and for all the cables for the main board. I'm pretty sure. Actually, that's the opposite. No, that's upwards. Actually, that is the right size. That one is actually correct. So they need to. This one here is correct because the way it fits. Let me spin around here. This fits on here like perfectly. I need to remove. Oh, but another thing I found: these cap heads that are here, you can cap heads are too tall; they get in the way, so they have to be replaced with countersunk M5 countersunks. I think M516s. I'll double check the measurement later on. I'm gonna have to go buy them. The place I buy them won't be open till tomorrow. But these have to be replaced for both here and here to hold on the belt with countersunk screws or mushroom head screws so they don't interfere with the case. But if you line stuff up, this one is actually properly aligned.
The subsector, when I first started printing with TPU, I got on Facebook on a few groups. In the search bar, I typed in printing with TPU, and I watched a few videos on YouTube, and I got multiple opinions on different things, and then I kind of figured it out from there. It's how I usually do just about everything I do.
Yeah, when you're unsure, reach out to the community. There's a lot of do videos on it. There's a lot of people who've done videos on it over time. So, since we can't mount these because I need to be able to mount a power supply first to route cables, I am going to go off and start working on my x-axis instead. So, x-axis, or not the x and the y-axis. So, I'll get these wires out of the way because I have yet to.
On the front top rail where you have the black and chrome brace, bracket aluminum extrusion, on the very front, how flush is that?
Flush.
When that comes out and meets it, the black sticks up slightly higher, right?
No, they're flush.
Are they? Okay.
If they're not flush, you're not at 45 degrees. So we're going to do the x and the y-axis. I'm very good at math, and you? Now, on a belt printer, or on in this configuration, you come with a plate that is going to be the new mount because the original mount for that comes on the printer will not work. So you're going to mount this on here, and instead of mounting normal, you're going to mount. Let me see if that's a bad angle. Let me go to the close-up camera, Jerry. It'll be better, I think. Let me tilt that up. It'll be easier if I tilt it up. There we go. So you're going to mount this upside down, okay, and underneath.
Okay, cool.
That's how it gets mounted because then your hot end sticks down under here and travels and prints on the bed. So we have to take apart the original one and take all of its wheels off and transfer them over to this. So the two upper ones go here, and the lower one, and the wheels go on the back here, in the back section of it here. So that we'll need a wrench, and we'll need some Allen key sets. Should I have the right ones?
The last TPU I used for my tracks on the Droid build was Pryline off of Amazon, a company called Pryline.
Yusu TPU is really good too. I used Yusu. And Yusu always worked out well for me. So these are Nylock Nuts.
Nylock nut, meaning it has a Teflon inside of it, so once you screw it on, the bolt bites into it and locks it in place so it won't back out.
So as I said, this is the plate. With this part facing down, we're going to be putting the nut in. This one, the bottom one, in this direction. with its offset wheel, and then we'll reattach the nut again on the outside.
Overture should print nice.
Hmm?
Overture TPU should print nice.
I haven't used Overture TPU, but as I said, I use Yusu. I've used Ninja Tech.
Yeah, Subsector ordered Overture. It's all she said she could get. That's fine. Yeah, I hate it on Amazon. You're up late at night and you're thinking, oh, I forgot to order something. You're trying to see if you can get it, the next day. So sometimes you can, sometimes you got to wait 2 days. But been there, done that. Amazon's my buddy.
Yeah, and Amazon's everyone's buddy when you have to buy stuff late at night and you need something quickly. Let me use a proper wrench to get it tightened in.
Well, since I retired, I became a homebody, and I prefer to order on Amazon than drive somewhere.
Oh. So we're going to get this awkward a hole with one person, but we'll make it happen. Tighten those in nice and tight. The only one we're going to worry about is adjusting will be the one that's on the bottom, which is going to be adjusting our tension of the wheel.
Sergio HVAC just subscribed.
Sergio, thank you for the subscription, man. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. You know what? I need to get one of those power screwdrivers.
Yeah, I got a Black & Decker. I think I don't use it much, but I think it bends in the middle so it can look like a drill, or you can put it straight. So
we're going to transfer this one over here.
Nador, hello.
Hey, Nadav, how are you?
The side beam, is it 2020 or 2040?
Which one?
It's 2040, the black ones.
These are 2040, which is what comes in the printer. So are these, all of the silver ones around. This is a 2020, just like you have an X-rail on the Ender 3. And then on the Ender 3 base, these are 4040 extrusions on the base. The rail here that's supporting the belt area is 2040. Nylock lugs are harder to bolt on because of the nylon in the head, but that's what locks it into place.
Wow, Subsector 3D just gifted a 1-tier sub.
Oh, Subsector, thank you so much.
Oh, she gifted it to Sergio. Okay.
Oh, Sergio, cool.
I missed seeing that in chat.
Cool. Thank you so much. Actually, I was on Subsector's channel yesterday for a while. She was working on her focus printer, and she was saying that she was going to be raising some money on our channel to do, and she was going to use it to pay for subscriptions for other people to join channels to give it to people. That's a very noble idea, noble plan. So I'm going to have to take this apart.
Nadav says, I got an extra Industry Pro. I may convert it.
No, I could either take that apart or I could use the one they give me. I think I'm just going to use the one they give me. Because they supplied a hot end. Now, where did I put the bolts for my hot end mount? Then, knowing my luck, they were the ones that just ended up on the floor a moment ago. Probably. But these are only the M3s, so I have other M3s there. Let me see if this will work, if these are long enough. These are probably a little too long. I have a whole pile of M3s there just to mount the hot end. So let me get my...
Nadav said that they got two Ender 3 Pros for $219 each, and one's going to be a switch wire.
Yeah, they recently announced that price, that deal. I saw that email go out from Micro Center yesterday.
Well, one he said is going to be a switch wire. I don't know what switch wire is.
A switch wire is a belt is a machine that uses belts rather than Z rods.
Oh, okay.
So this one is important to make sure you do it correctly. Let me get it out of the way, because this is where where you have your adjuster nut, your offset nut, and
The person's name I can't pronounce said, "What is the bed material in those belt printers?"
it's nylon, but it looks like it's got a TigTak coating on it. So when you're putting these lock nuts in, right, one side has a raised area, and if you look closely, you'll see it's not on center. That's why we have that's how we adjust that wheel. So that must slide into the larger hole there, because otherwise it won't adjust.
The switch wire is a Volron printer
Yeah.
using a sling bed.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a Boron printer though. There's other switch wires out there.
Sith Lord Brit just subscribed.
Oh, Britt, thank you so much for
Dudes just
subscribing.
subscribed for 2 months in a row. Zach just subscribed.
Thank you guys.
Tactile 3D just subscribed for 2 months in a row.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Just really appreciate it.
Oh, let's see. Sergio gifted a 1-tier sub to Sith Lord Brit. Sergio gifted a 1-tier sub to Zach. Trying to catch everything here on Twitch.
It's probably did Sergio do them all? Because we're all in a row.
Sergio did Tactile. He did another. Yeah, Sergio did Dues.
Thank you so much, man.
Sergio did. Looks like he did 5. Awesome.
Thank you, Sergio. So this is how we. Oh, I put that on backwards. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I was actually looking at chat, and I didn't pay attention to what I was doing. So I put it right in the way of my hot end. So let me fix that and reverse it. I never said I was smart, guys. Come on.
Back up to Nadab. He said the switch wire is a Volron printer using a sling bed but Core XY. So I just wanted to get that caught back up.
But there's using anything that uses belts for Z is also often called a switch wire.
RCCNC, hi guys.
RC, good morning.
3D Print Llama.
Hey, Llama. Now this one I can't put on tight. The reason why is I need to put it on the axis first, so that you have to have the wheel loose to get it to fit, and then bring everything up to it.
Subsector says, "Ask printer, I do that too when streaming. We don't pay as close attention."
Yes,
Sergio
says, it happened. Subjects last night while we were on stream.
Sergio says, "A good deed deserves another."
Yeah, she asked me how do I do it, and I said badly. It's probably it was a honest answer, because we do it badly.
Yeah, I try to watch chat all that I can and listen to everybody and juggle everything. And yeah, my mind's really going when I live stream, trying to watch everything and try to catch it.
Now let's get it tightened in. Now, that's our axis. And let's just check that wheel. Make sure it's not too tight.
Subsector says, "Things take so long when streaming." Yes, they do.
Yeah. So the way you know this is attached right, it should not be tight. You should be able to hold the axis and turn the wheel between your thumb and forefinger without an awful lot of effort, right? You should be able to grip it and spin the wheel. If you can't spin it, it's too tight. And it should move very, very, very freely. If that's too tight, all you'll do is crush down on these wheels and you'll destroy them. So that is now our x-axis. And our y-axis is almost ready. We are going to partly mount the hot end. I'm not going to do all the hot end assembly because I need to tear the other one apart first. So
yes, Llama, he knows about the video. He's working on it, so little by little.
I don't know what's going on with it. Honestly, I've tried so many different things, and it looks fine on my side. It's annoying. And I think it's got something to do with StreamYard in a way, because the video quality is not great. But because before I used to stream directly only to YouTube, not using StreamYard, and I never had issues.
But I'm going through your StreamYard and I'm not blurry.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know. I really don't know.
When I used to stream in StreamYard, I look kind of blurry all the time. And I think you've already checked it, but in OBS, I had my settings cranked up to like 4K. I had the resolution really high. And once I kicked them down to 1920 by 1080, it solved it.
So this is where the hot end will attach. I'm not going to. I loosely do this, but for those
Subsectors,
who never. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jerry.
read Subsector's comment.
I
I'm
had
sure.
blurriness in the camera. I found it was the driver and settings and Windows, which it could possibly be, but it looks really clear on my side. It's only when it stream out is what the issue is. So anyone who's never done a hot end replacement or a nozzle replacement, always make sure when you screw the nozzle in, because this is a Bowden tube setup, back the nozzle off a little bit. So when you screw in your heat brake comes down and touches the nozzle. So they're locked in together. So, but when you put in the Bowden tube into it later on, back off your nozzle a fraction more, right? Put in the Bowden tube, heat it up. And when it's hot at about 230 degrees and it's all locked in place, then you tighten up and you have the Bowden tube all the way down. Then tighten the nozzle, the hot nozzle, up against the Bowden tube to create a seal.
Grip the block with a pair of pliers or a wrench so that you
Yes.
don't break your throat, and be careful you're not gripping the side with the wires on it.
And in this case, because I do not want the heat block sticking in the way, because it's off center, right here, it's off center. So I don't want the heat block getting in the way of the nozzle. I want the shorter side pointing downwards. So when I put it in here, the nozzle comes down
Closer to the bed, yes.
to the bed. Because if I did it the other way around, the heat block would impact the bed, and you don't want that. Over here the other way. See, heat block is resting on the bed. This way, around, your nozzle comes down and rests on the bed. Now, I need to take the grub screw out of the old one and reuse it. So let me get the.
And they supplied like 100 grub screws, so it doesn't
Yeah, but
matter.
they don't fit that one. They're too small.
Okay.
You use the one out of the original printer. I'm gonna get a real small. Once again, I got the wrong. I think it's this one. Now you could actually use the original hot end as well, right? I just haven't bothered to take it apart yet, so I'm gonna come over here. Oh, that's gonna be in the way. I need to mount that the other way around, Jerry. 1 second, because the grub screw I had pointing the wrong direction, and because of that, I can't get access to it to attach stuff. So if I flip it, but if I flip it over, that will be easier for future maintenance. So let me just do that spin around of that. That was well timed. I said spin around, and the hot end spun around on its own. The heat blocked it. It's voodoo. I'm telling you, it's voodoo. So the grub screw should be facing not towards the short side of it when it's printing. It should be facing downwards, right? So that way, then when it's in and it's mounted, you can actually gain access to it. So I'm going to do that over here.
I wonder if you ever got a tear in your belt. Obviously, you don't want to replace it. What would be a temporary fix to be able to keep using it? Tape off that spot and don't reprint there? I mean,
I would avoid printing on that area. But if you got a bad tear, you're better off replacing it, because you must remember the belt is held in place by even tension on both sides. If the tension is off on one side and the other, it's going to drift towards the side where there's no tear. So that's going to ruin your alignment. So you'd have to replace it. You can avoid printing in the area to a point, but it's not the solution.
Oh, Chris Travis, take care, Chris. He's probably already gone, but I just seen his comment.
Yeah, I said hi. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Chris.
I'm slow today, guys.
It's early morning. You must remember, Jerry has volunteered to come on and help out to cover the chat and so on. But Jerry is 3 hours behind me. He's in Vegas, so
Well, it's almost 9 here now, but I got up at 6, went to bed like 12:30. I don't sleep well at night, and I set my alarm so I wouldn't miss it.
yeah. So
Take
yeah,
care, Matt. Get some sleep.
yeah, getting sleep, man. Matt's another guy that doesn't sleep. I think Matt is part vampire, part daywalker. So that works. There's my nozzle touching the bed, which is exactly where I need it to be. Now, in future, I'm going to cover this because I don't want it digging into the bed when it's not in use. So I'm going to what I cover it with.
You have plenty of room to have a fan mount there and everything on that. Well, there has to be, but
There's a fan. The fan mount in this is actually unusual. I'll show you that in a moment.
oh yeah, it bends. It turns
it
uphill.
mounts at the back up here. It actually mounts in the back here.
Yeah, it turns uphill.
So I'm going to get a piece of cardboard. 1 second, I need to get my blade. I'm going to get a piece of cardboard to cover the bed because I don't want that nozzle flopping around and digging into the bed on me. So let me get, where did I put my blade? It was here. There it is. So if it moves, it lands there.
Thank you for the follow, 86 Carrera.
Now the other part, there's 2 parts to this. One is the Fan Shroud, and I think this just clips on. That's all it does. It slots on over, and it's a kind of loose fit. I don't like that, actually. I'll probably want to change that design a little bit. It's kind of too loose a fit. There's no way to lock it into place. I would actually rather, if this was designed at this shroud, these were holes, and when you mount the hot end, it actually your bolt goes through these, you know, because it just sits on there like that, and your fan then gets mounted on the back.
So the friction that'd probably hop off with friction.
Yeah, well, it just hangs there. It's not going to rub anything because it's raised. But I'm worried. Let me spin it around so you can get a better view.
The weight of the fan will put downward stress on it, so
not by much. Those fans are super light, so it's not going to do an awful lot. So let me spin it around so you can see a better view on the inside.
Comic Age Clothing, hello.
So when the nozzle is actually on the surface, which will be barely touching the surface, this is slightly above the surface, and your cooling fan mounts here. So I'm not sure I like that. I'd like to modify that and put so when the hot end gets put on, actually that may not be easy either, because the bolts are up here, so it's kind of hard to do that. I don't know. Something needs to be done. I have to figure out a way around this because I don't like it hanging there.
Yeah, if it was beefier on the top where it goes over the hot end, you could put a set screw in it, but it's too light. I have mine turned, it would break it.
So the way it goes is this goes on here. Your fan, let's put this underneath to protect the bed. Your fan gets mounted in here with 4 screws, and then you have a little fan cover, which is kind of beefy, gets mounted over here. Now, I would do it without the fan cover. The reason why is, even though it looks nice, I'm imagining compared to the normal fan, which comes on the hot end, this may interfere with airflow. Because if you compare how open this fan is in comparison to this might interfere with airflow. So we'd have to do some testing. I might leave it without the cover on it altogether because I'm worried about airflow through this.
I've had clogs that way. I've had my fans, I leave them open, cover or not, they pick up dust over time, and they're spinning, but not quite as fast, and you get clogs because it's not.
Yes, you do. You get heat creep because of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that often happens, and you have to clean. That's why every time you go near your hot end, you have to clean everything out. And the ones that come with the printer are often brushed, and they're single bearing and they're brushed hot fans, and they're cheap fans. If you're ever going to replace them with dual bearing brushless fans. That way, then you have less of an issue with them, and they perform quieter as well.
I clean them with Q-tip and alcohol.
Yeah, and the tweezers to pluck out any of the
Yeah.
strings that actually get in there. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I do the same. So we have that done. So let's get on and getting our x-axis done. So we're going to get this x-axis done. There's a belt tensioner here that I need to mount. This is the original belt tensioner that needs to be mounted over here. I'm not going to tighten it in. I'm just going to snug it so it doesn't flop all over the place. Let's see, slide this up so we can get access. That straw, can you drill holes in the side so it clamps? It's too thin.
Share my screen real quick, please.
Sure. I don't see the pop-up, Jerry. There we go.
Yeah, here's where Liam's working right now, right here.
Yeah. So the shroud, I can. Are you done, Jerry? Okay. So the shroud is very, very, very thin. So there's nowhere to mount stuff. You know what? A bit of double-sided tape on the inside would actually do the work. Would do it because it's on the cool top part of the heat break anyway. So if I put something like padding in there of some form, and you slide it on, it would kind of wedge itself into place and stop it from wobbling, and that would probably stop it from knocking itself free.
Wedgies are always good. That should help.
Yes, Jerry. From experience, no, they're not great. So the fan and actually, I see another issue. If that mounts on here, Jerry, there's no part cooling fan. Look at the design. There's no part cooling fan in it.
Yeah, there isn't.
Which is a design flaw.
Yeah.
So they have no part cooling fan on this, which means they always want to print it. So you have to be very, very, very careful about what you're printing because if we're doing really small parts, the parts won't cool. So I have to go back to them on that today, that they actually totally missed the part cooling fan because look at the design there. I don't think there is, Jerry. Am I right? Am I right?
I'm looking on the side view. It doesn't even show that part. I'd have to run the video.
Share it again, Jerry, so we can all see.
Yeah, let me run the video.
I could probably put bolts in there, and then you tighten the bolts. Like you hot glue the bolts on the inside, drill holes, and then the bolts come in and press against the heat break.
Okay, here I'll run the video and we'll look at it.
Yeah, just mute the audio.
Yeah.
Actually, let me bring that full screen, I think. There we go. Yeah, there's no part cooling fan. If you look at the hot end, it's totally missing a part cooling fan.
Okay, right.
Yep, there's none.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yep, there is none.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that until you mentioned
I just looked at it now, and I was wondering where's the part cooling, and I remembered I never printed a part for that. So,
and even in that picture right there, it just shows nothing. Yeah.
So okay, take that out. Yeah, there is no. So we found a design flaw. We've done a couple of design flaws. This one is for one, and there is no part cooling fan. Now the other thing that worries me a little bit is even though this is PETG, this part down here rests right up against here, right above the hot end. So it's so close to the hot end. I'm worried that latent heat rising would actually.
Yeah, and I printed that part out of PLA.
I didn't mind. This is PETG, but still.
Yeah.
If you try and print PETG on this, you're going to run into problems. It might limit you to only PLA and not TPU, but PVB and materials like that. So I have to go back to him about that because they have no part cooling on this. We can get it. We can get it wired up anyway, right? We can get the rest of it. We can get the belt on.
I'll
So,
be right back.
okay, Jerry. So I'm going to reuse the original industry belt that came with the printer. I have the original belt here. I should be over on this side. Let me just put that over there. I'm going to use the original belt that came with the printer. And it mounts. I'm going to be off to the side here, so please excuse me. The belt will mount as normal, whereas you put the belt in and turn it so the brass grommets are pointing outwards. Make sure the teeth on the belt, right, there's one side is smooth, one side is teeth. The teeth are actually pointing in towards the extrusion because you want the teeth to go around um, the idler because the idler needs to grip it. It needs to go around the idler so it pulls. And then back out the other side and around our belt tensioner. Where's it going? So this is interesting that we're finding design mistakes, but that's why we're beta testing, right? That goes onto the idler. There we go. Goes around our belt tensioner, which is on this side here. The cable's in the way. There's our belt tensioner. And loops back underneath again over to our hot end bracket. And again, teeth pointing downwards. We feed it in. Actually, I might take that off altogether because I need a small bit more leeway with that. I can get back. I can put that on after the fact. Need a small bit more clearance to get these attached. And it slides into the groove and turns. Now, so our belt is in place. Now we're going to put on our where did I put that? Our tensioner. Loosen these up a bit. We slide this into place. Put our belt around it. Now, if you've never done these belt tensions, you can get a little part you can 3D print. I use this all the time, and it keeps the belt tensioner straight. So what you do is you slide it over your extrusion with the belt in the right place, so it goes through the inside the V groove, like this. Put it on there. Get the belt somewhat tightened into place. Let's make sure that's in right. Okay. And then push. And it allows you to keep this straight. You're pushing on it while you tighten this down. Simple little device. Just put your thumb into it, turn it, and you get good belt tension. And it's an easy way of doing. Let's turn properly. Doesn't slip out. Now we have a nicely tensioned belt. It's an easy one because you just put your thumb on this. Because one area of it is angled, one area is straight, so the flat end goes up against the belt tensioner, and then the other one you put your thumb behind it. Fit your thumb perfectly. Just hold on to the extrusion and push with one thumb hard, and that'll get you the right tension. And you can tell when you bring the belt all over to one side, you should be able to move it. Like get your finger in there, but that's you should just about get a finger inside of it, right? That should be roughly the right tension. You can always tighten up later on if you want to get, but if you find it's an issue. Now there are also PETG 3D printable belt tensioners out there. I know Prusa and Prusa printers you can get them, and by putting it on and you push down, and you can tell if your belt is the right tension or not. So I'm not going to take this apart. The reason why is we don't have the parts for it. There's nowhere to put part cooling fans. So next, what are we going to do next? So we have that done.
Can you see any way that you can incorporate that existing shroud? Since we reuse so many parts from the Ender, is it designed so it can be reused somehow? Well, actually,
one on the back.
If you take off the part that they printed that goes on there, well, I guess it hang down too far, probably. I'm not sure.
There's only one bolt hole that could possibly line up. Actually, it doesn't. No, you'd have to re-drill the whole system, the whole place to make it fit.
All right.
There's no easy way. Yeah, there's no easy way to do it.
Hook up air assist to it from a laser.
I could move my air assist from a laser over there. I agree. Yeah. I have to watch the first two layers and then turn on the pump.
Get a desk fan, turn on high. Yeah.
Now they have not indicated how to mount the Z end stop at all. Can you on the video? Let me verify actually. Can you bring up the video again?
Yep.
We're building everything off this video, guys. That's all we have as a build.
And because we're beta testing, they want us to try to figure a lot of it out that they haven't figured out.
Well, I don't know how much they've tested this. So, go back to the assembled section. Back before it explodes, Jerry. Not that I want. That's not what I want. Where is it gone? There.
Tell me when to stop.
Go. I want to go back and let it spin the other way around. So it is underneath. So I don't see. Here's my issue. Our Y travel is limited, which is I expect. So we'll have to mount the Z end, the Y end stop in here. So they don't show a Y end stop in there at all. And we'll have to mount. Let me spin this around so people can see inside. Our Y end stop will have to be mounted in one of these extrusions. Let me say, is this better? This might be better. We have to mount a Y end stop in here so it gets triggered before.
Yeah, there's no electronics in this at all. It's just all hardware.
Yeah, I haven't done any. These wires are for a hotbed and thermistor. The other cabling I haven't done. I know I'll have to extend some. I'll have to extend for this this is the Y-axis on the printer, the normal Y-axis, and this will have to be. I'll have to extend that up. The Z-axis it has no end stop, and so you have to turn that off in firmware. And the X-axis I'll have to mount, but I'll have to mount a Y home position here, using its end stop.
I'm going to say SP4 Coyote. That's kind of breaking it down. Thank you for the follow.
Oh, thank you so much. So let's see what other parts we have. And I know I dumped a whole pile of parts on the floor over there. I know my luck. They're exactly what I was going to move on to next. Probably. Okay. So I need to find, which I dumped on the floor, I believe. One moment, guys. I upended a container.
Gapzilla, thank you for the follow.
And I put the parts into the container for them to be safe. And you know what? They weren't safe because they ended up on the floor. Let's see. All right, so we know what we have to do. No, I almost forgot. These are the belts for the Y-axis, which is this. The Y-axis is this. So we need to mount these on here with T-nuts, because the Y belts will run up here and connect to these on each end. And the way we put them on is we put them on and then we'll have to tie wrap them into place. So I need to see what lengths I need. And I think these will do, but let me verify if these are too long or not.
Oh, that's where you hook the ends on that piece?
That's what you do for the ends, for the belts, for the Y-axis. So these are too long. And these are M5s, and I think these might actually work.
So you're just going to fold over the belt and zip tie it to itself?
Yeah.
Yep.
The way you used to do with the old printers, remember?
Well, I know, but people watching may not know.
Yeah. So, and I will show that once I get it on. So give me a second. I'm going to mount one of these on. And the belt is a really long piece of belt, so you have to cut it yourself. So you should mount these first. Where I put the wrench for that. Oh, I left it over here. Let me just get some stuff out of my way here. Wrong size. I had the right size a few minutes ago and I can't find it now. Oh, there it is. So these just, you put a T-nut in there. And you drop it into the V-groove. You align it roughly. You align these slots that are, sorry, you can't see that. These slots need to align with the idlers that you've put in these two locations earlier on at the beginning. So we're going to mount it in there, roughly align it.
Okay, Prince 3D, hello.
Let's see if I can get that to lock into place. And just check the alignment before I do anything else.
Turn that slightly so we can see it better.
Forgive me. There you go. So I need to align these a little bit better. Let me see.
Hasika, hello. How are you? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing names here. I'm doing my best.
I think that's okay, but let me just get that locked in. And that holds that belt. And then we have a whole long pile of ream of belt that we need to set up. Now this is going to be awkward because we have to fish the belt through these idlers and they're kind of tight. So I'm going to start with the bottom one, going underneath. The reason why I'm going to go underneath in this idler is I want it to loop up and I want the teeth facing downwards.
Yes, Hasika, you can get the files from GitHub and print them, but they haven't released the price of the kits or the kits yet, unless you're one of the people that they already sent everything out to.
Correct. Let me see. Do I have? Yeah. All right.
It's still a work in progress. So once all the bugs are worked out and the printers work, at some point, then they'll release a price for their kits.
So I'm feeding in the belt, so it comes around the idler. Goes around the idler there, and it's going to come up. And I'm thinking I want this pointing downwards, because the reason why I want it downwards is I want it, when I zip tie these, I want to put the two to the side against the two to the side so they lock into each other, like so, and then that will lock it in place. So before I do that,
SBC 3D, hello.
Where did I put all my zip ties? I have bags of zip ties, and when you want your bag of zip ties, you can never ever find them.
Me and Liam have both done videos over on YouTube on these. My YouTube channel is 3DHP or 3D Printing and Painting. I've done my first time-lapse video, and in a few days I'll release a second video, and Liam has done the same also. And he's live streamed it on Twitch.
Yes. So I'm actually live streaming on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. So they don't give you any zip ties, and the one time I need mine is the one time I cannot find them. But I can show you. Let's see. Do I have to, there's some small zip ties here. This is perfect. I got some small zip ties, which is exactly what I need. I don't want big, heavy, bulky ones. So, got a whole pile of zip ties here. So the belt is looped back on itself. And then you wrap it with a zip tie up really close. I will
Oh,
actually,
you're gonna make a lasso. Then you're not gonna hook it. You're not gonna fold it on itself, tie it, and hook it in there and pull it down tight.
no. You loop it around and the zip tie holds it in place. Is how you do it.
Okay.
So this is kind of
Because
hard.
on all 3D printers, I just double them back on themselves, and I take that ball that's on the end and I hook it in.
What ball?
Like when you buy a 3D printer, it has a brass piece crimped on the
Oh
end.
yeah, but these don't have the brass crimps.
That's why I fold the belt back on itself. But when I put on the zip tie, it makes the same thing, but it's a
Oh
plastic
yes,
zip
yes,
tie.
yes.
Hello, Sith Lord Britt. How are you?
Hey Britt, so you put that in there. So that's anchored. That's not going to move. So the zip tie is actually holding. I can get this closer if it's going to help. But 1 second, guys. So I've actually doubled the belt back in itself. This is set to fixed focus, so that's why it's out a little bit. And then I zip tied it, so that's not, and the teeth are against each other, so it's not going to move. You remount this. Now I'm going to run the belt that I pulled through a while ago, which is very, very long, but I don't want to cut it, so I need to make sure I keep it correctly aligned, and it looks like it's going to be going up. Ooh, 1 second.
K Prince 3D. Hello, guys. Looking awesome. First time chatter.
Hey, K Prince, how are you? We're going to run the belt up inside. As I said, it's a long belt, but I don't want to cut it till I know the right size. And that goes up here.
That's another reason, Liam, to always have your Twitch dashboard open, because if you're just in StreamYard, you can't see first time chatters and things like
I
that.
know, but that's why I have you here, Jerry, because I can't see first time chatters. Because I'm.
Because I wasn't looking at that screen and didn't notice it over here in StreamYard.
This is feeding back down through now. Here's the issue I need to be careful of. I cannot lock this into place. I can get the rough distance I need. I'm going to cut it off. Actually, I don't like this.
Do you switch cameras?
Yeah. I don't like this. And here's the reason why. If I take the belt off here and around the idler,
Okay.
it's dipping downwards. And I have the only way to pass the belt back is up through underneath this plate.
That might have been a mistake.
The close-up is better, Jerry. 1 second.
Yeah.
What I'm describing. So the belt comes down here through this idler, but as it returns, the only way to get it back is up underneath the plate. Unless they want me to bring it, or maybe they want me to bring it over. I can try that.
You want to see a video again? Video don't really show it.
But I think it's going by the way it's set up. I think over is the right way to do it, Jerry. So I actually have to put the belt in the other way around. So, and that's okay. Or you just cut the zip tie and flip it around. It's easy enough. Because I think it goes under and then it comes around and goes over, which would make more logical. Again, guys, we're building this without any guidance whatsoever. They give us no instructions. We have one breakout video, which is an explosion of the live, and that's it. So I'm going to cut off this this belt, and I'm going to flip the other way around. So instead of I'm going to go under here and over the top, which would probably make more sense. So I'm going to reattach this but the other way around. So I'm going to come up underneath it. Oh, there goes my main board. I'm going to come up from underneath into that groove instead. Zip tie that again. I just flipped it the other way around. And then this time I'm going to go under and over. So the belt will actually run up the front, which should be fine. Oh, it came off. I did that. So we're learning as we go, guys. This is the whole point of this is if you ever want to get into designing and building your own printer, which a lot of people do. Let me just snip off the end of that. And then the belt will go. I'm leaving the whole length of belt on it again because I'm going to feed it down under the idler and up.
Subsector 3D, thank you very much for watching, and she'll be lurking in the background. She's got things to do.
Oh, I know. Thank you, Subsector.
Otter Danger Den, hello. How are you?
Hey, Shane, how are you?
Hey, hello, Jerry and Astro Pixels.
Astro Pixels. I've been calling many things. Astro Pixels is a new one. Because my image is pixelated probably, and I don't know why, but it is. So this goes over. This one makes more sense actually to design now, and then feed it in over the top here.
If you tried all these settings and couldn't figure it out, I think I'd buy another camera and throw another camera on it.
It's a 4K video camera.
Well, actually, you're right because you got two cameras running now and they're both the same. So, yeah.
So that works better, guys. Look, so the belt goes zoop here, the teeth pointing upwards. It goes underneath the axes, underneath the idler, up with the teeth facing down, passes over all of this, then comes around the top of the idler down here, and then we zip tie it down here again.
I didn't realize there was an idler down in there. I'll have to watch your other video.
There's an idler on the bottom and on top. Yeah. So the top ones, there's two top ones on each side here. Actually, there's three top ones. One on the outside. There's one here, which is for the belt. There's one here, which links the Y-axis motor to this. And then there's one over here, which holds the bar in place, which keeps these two in tandem.
Okay. I'll be working on that today or tomorrow.
So I'm going to cut this with a bit of length, and I'm going to leave it because I've got plenty on the other side.
Comic Age Clothing says it looks like it's bit rate by the look at it for the video problem. Bit rate.
Maybe.
When I first started streaming,
stream to YouTube only, I never had these issues.
When I first started streaming, I kicked my tier up with Cox cable really high, so I could. I'm getting 1,000 down, 35 up right now, and it was a lot lower. It's like 5 up.
I can't get that in my area.
Yeah.
Actually, I need to loosen this to get the belt in. I can't reach it. So just let me. Just to get the belt fed up inside this. And I'll bolt it back into place. I can't get those speeds where I live. I would die for gigabit up and down. It's just not possible where I live in my area.
And they say in the next 3 or 4 years I might be on fiber, so that'd be cool.
So get the right belt tension. Get a zip tie ready to go. And belt tension on this is basically just pulling it to get the right tension. Folding it over back on itself again. Locking that in and then snipping off the excess.
Otter's Danger Den said the next 2 years will be running fiber 2 blocks away from him.
So let me see how this flows, okay? Belt seems a little bit lopsided.
Vincent says I got my bit rate at 3500 when I stream at 1080.
Yeah, I don't know what's mine. Mine's only doing. What does it say here? Oh, it just gives me my frames. My frames are only down to 33 or 36. I don't know why. Because when I start off, it said at 60. So we have one belt in place. Just go do the other side. And I think we'll stop there until I have to make the modifications to those cases to make them work. So again, we're going to mount one of these again. Where did I put it? I just need to check where it's going to be mounted. That doesn't work. Let me check alignment over here. No, that might work. Okay. Another bolt in, T-nut. Well, that seems short. Let me get a proper bolt because that one seems a little bit on the short side. Even though I think they're the same. Ah, there it is. You see this? I think half of my problems are actually my computer. Yeah, that's the wrong bolt. It did seem short. That's much better.
Does your son have a nice gaming system?
He does.
You think that you could borrow it for a couple of days and you could
I'm
hook it up?
thinking of. I've actually been good. I've actually been thinking about doing the very same thing, Jerry.
It's time consuming putting software on it, but that way you can
No, it's
narrow it
just
down.
OBS.
You can narrow it down real fast. Yeah.
So I'll temporarily lock that in place. I think it's. I do think it's my computer though. It is overloaded. I know my computer is way overloaded.
Vincent has an old i5. Yeah, in the garage, I got an i5 2500K overclocked at 3300 with a GTX 970, and it streams perfectly fine. And I'm on a Ryzen 7 1800X, 32 gigs of RAM, GeForce 1080 Ti overclocked where I'm sitting with the Logitech Brio camera.
Yeah, I'm running a Sony 4K camera. Oh, what is it now? Oh, okay. Here's the issue you're going to run into when you're running the second belt.
Can't see what you're pointing at.
Oh, forgive me. Sorry. When you're running the second belt over here, okay. Actually, I need the other side. I'll tilt this up so it's better. When you're running this belt, this idler is now tied to the other side. So what you'd have to do is run this through manually, link this spot at the top part first, because it's going to get trapped because of the idler not moving, and then pull through the slack down here and then do the bottom second. Because the top idler is locked because they're linked together with the other side, which we've already put the belt into, right? So we lock this one into place
The
first.
apprentice says, Liam, on the hot end shroud, on one side there should be a part cooling fan, which is missing on your shroud.
There is none in the design.
Yeah, don't have one.
I agree with you. We noticed that. I have to talk to them about this because it's a design flaw. Because you have to cool the plastic, right? That's in tight there. And now we're going to pull it through and get it to line up. There we go. And that is, oof, I'm going to have to move my belt tensioner out. I don't know if I can. I can't move my belt tensioner. I can flip this around though. Oh, I'll have to cut that again. I'll have to flip it around. The reason why is the belt tensioner on this printer, because the original Ender 3s did not have belt tensioners, correct, Jerry?
No, didn't have belt tensioners, just manually.
And they
Like,
designed this by without having a belt tensioner, and this gets in the way. So I'll have to loosen this out again and flip it over because
just
I
like
don't.
you did earlier, where you pressed on it and tightened up the bolts. I usually just take the Allen wrench and I pull it tight with that, straighten it with my hand, and then tighten it up.
Yeah, but I have to. Well, I have to flip it over because of the belt tensioner issue. The belt tensioner gets in the way of this being in place. So just let me zip tie this one right here now.
Well, yeah, there's belt tensioners that are manual. You get like this as a slide, and you tighten up the bolt. It doesn't actually have something you can turn like a knob, like on the uh, Ender 3. What's it called? The newest one that I sold.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Whatever the newest Ender 3 was that I sold, where it's got the blue knobs on it. It's got the drawer in the front. But this kit's designed for the original Ender 3 or Ender 3 Pro that came out, 3 years ago.
Have to line this up so it doesn't interfere with the belt, and then lock it into place. And now I need to move this, slide this all up, and
Yeah.
cut the belt the length I need. Cutting with a lot of excess because I don't need. I'm done with it after this. And this then gets looped up underneath, up into the groove, and gets pulled taut. Move it about halfway up to get it.
Yeah, if they don't have any kind of a tensioner, there's no way you're going to pull that tight enough. I doubt.
I can put it tight by hand.
Okay.
Because I left enough leverage on enough parts of it, enough pieces on the end length to allow me to get a grip of it to pull it tight.
And then your left and right side would need the same tension on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm checking. That's what I'm going to be checking now before I do it. That's like here. I get them right. I pinch them together, and then lock it in. Yeah, they're roughly the same. So we have our. I have to cut off all this excess, but I'm going to leave it there for a moment. But we have our setup. We're getting there, guys. We get rid of some of this trash that I don't need anymore. My trash bucket is the corner. Right, so we have the Y done, or the X-axis done, and the Y-axis is ready. And as we run off the stepper motor, I haven't done the electronics mounting underneath yet because I do need to modify the power supply mount, as I showed earlier on, because these holes on the power supply mount are not properly lined up. They need to be shifted about 10 millimeters to the side. So I have marked 2 holes, and I will have to drill them out later on, and then mount it inside. But the power supply box, the new modified power supply box, does work, and then this will then mate up underneath in the printer I'll get the other piece that I want to show you. This is mounted. I'll tilt this camera down so it's easier for you to see. This is mounted upside down like this. So this would be facing downward. And then on the other side, we will have this part, which will be facing upwards, like so. And this will be made into that behind. And then the cables will come across in, and our main board will be mounted in here at the back. So we'll have our SD card and our USB ports are here. So that's how it's going to be wired. And then any cables I need will have to be routed. Like this will come over and power the main board through this connection, through this cable. And then the one thing I wish maybe I might change this cable and make it longer, because I don't like the fact that it is kind of short, and it may get in the way because it'll be sitting over the main board in here. It'll be sitting over the main board when the power comes through. So, but I will be mounting the main board in here later on. Let me go back to full screen. It'll be easier to show you. So, it'll be mounted they'll be mounted together like so underneath. This cools and blows downwards, which is perfect. And then the main board will be mounted in this one here. And but I do have to drill this one out. And let's see what else. I do have a cover for this. I have not yet printed because my printer's busy. I have one of my printers doing something else, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to fit it at all, if I wanted to do it, in case there need to be more mods. So that will be what we'll do. I will do offline. I'll drill this offline. I don't have my drill in here to the garage, and get that mounted up. And then after that, it'll be cabling. And there are cables I know I'll have to extend. I do know for sure. Like this is my x-axis, which would mount over here, which should be okay, mounting over here. My x-axis, my extruder, I will have to extend. It will not reach up to here, so I have an extension cable I can use for that. And then I have my x-axis end stop. They have a mod. They have an adapter that goes on over this bracket, and you mount your x-axis end stop on that. So when your axis comes over, it triggers it. Actually, I may have to flip it around too. Let's see. But it has to trigger the x-axis end stop. And so that mod will have to be, when they post it, they said they're going to post it tonight. So, which is Monday morning their time. Once they do that, I'll print that, get that on.
Hey 3D Jeff.
Hey Jeff, how are you? And that will actually give me, because I'll need an end stop here. I'll have to measure the remaining width of Y, because my Y has my x-axis has actually gotten shorter. My print area is 180, so it's actually going to be it's going to be less actually. If I move that down, if I do.
When these printers home, where do they print? Down to the left or right? Obviously they can't. The bed's not involved.
They will home down, and it will home to the. If you're facing the printer, to the right hand side of the printer. For the X, go to the right. It will home down to the into down position, and it will. And you turn off homing of Z in firmware, because there's no Z home, because it's a belt. So you can't have an end stop on Z. But let me see one thing actually. I'm going to measure exactly how wide that x-axis is. This is too wide. Let me cut this off. I'm going to put this down here. I'm going to mark the positions on each side, and let's see exactly how wide our X will be when it's done. So we're going to go from here, and it will travel all the way across to, so it goes off the bed on that side, to the edge of the bed, but I can still measure that. I'm guessing 150, 160 wide. Your X is going to be about 160. 160 is 165. I'm guessing because I've outrun the length of my calipers, and it stops at 153. So I'm guessing maybe 165 is going to be the width of your X gantry. So we'll have to change that in firmware or set that in firmware, and then the Z height we'll have to, when we have all this assembled, all this bolted up, we will have to move this up and measure the height from the nozzle down, which is not an awful lot of Z height. Your Z height, I'm guessing, let's check and get a rough estimate now. About 105 millimeters. So you're going to go down to about 165 by 100 by endless, by 99999. Is what you're going to end up with. So it is a pretty small build area. What do you think but how many times are you going to bring something really big on that? What do you think, Jerry?
Awesome.
No, but what do you think about what's the biggest thing, highest on the y-axis you're going to want to print on this, and the x-axis? You're not going to print something very, very wide or very, very tall.
No, you're going to either mass produce something or print a sword or something long, and it's not going to be that high.
There's only one problem I found, because I'm going to use this for Toys for Tots. I will not be able to print the trains on this. They won't fit. I don't have enough Z height. Or I don't have enough y-axis height to put the trains on.
Make the train smaller, or do you have to stick with their sizes?
No, you have to stick with their sizes.
Okay.
So, and I have no ability to do. Yeah, I won't be able to do the full height.
You could print a lot of Legos.
Cheaper to buy Legos. But I can do a lot of the other smaller prints. But do you have any trains there?
You know, I've never ever in my life built anything out of Legos.
Never?
No. When I was a kid, I had Tinker Toys and Lincoln Logs. I never got into Legos.
Oh, I had Legos. I must have been spoiled because I had some Legos.
My grandkids have a lot of Legos, so I should probably hit them up and say, "Hey, which set don't you like? Will your daddy sell it to me?"
You should get a set because a lot of makers do Lego builds online as well.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. I could have a Lego day.
But if I didn't have already have the Saturn V done, I would have done it live here. But I did it. Yeah, I did it a long time ago. So when it first came out, but it was what 3 years ago.
Well, you can fix that. Just take it apart.
And I'd have to find the instruction manual now because I don't have the instruction manual anymore.
I'm sure you could download it.
No, I don't think Legos allow you to do that.
Oh, why wouldn't you have kept the manual?
Because to me, it's about the model, not about keeping them. Why would I want to keep a manual around for something I'm not going to use I'm not going to rebuild anymore. I was actually even considering gluing it together, putting resin, painting it with resin, and reattach everything and stick it together. Because I want it to be permanent because I use it on display, and when I do the NASA stuff, I put it on display when I do outreach and so on. So I'm going to be at the Henry Ford Museum for three weekends next month, and I'm going to have a Saturn V there. And my buddy's going to bring his Saturn V there as well. Because what we're going to do is we're going to show it assembled, and we're going to show it broken out at the different phases and explain the phases of how the rocket launches and stuff, as well as talking about the technologies that came out of the Apollo space program. Well, space in general, but specifically more on the Apollo side. But we're going to add in some other stuff. Tang did not come out of the space program.
Click on that link and look at it later, Liam. Otter's Danger Den just posted a Lego link.
Oh, Lego instructions? Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know they had them online. I didn't think they did. But I did the build. I did the build in one go. I did it in one day. I did it in a day. I think it took me 8 hours or 9 hours to do it. But most people do it over the space of 3 or 4 days. So is it starting to look like a printer now, guys?
It's looking great.
Minus bits of wires hanging everywhere and stuff. Well, what I want is there. You can see what's going on there. So it's starting to look like a real printer now. And we have this all moves. It's a bit stiff, but I have to figure out why it's a bit stiff. But it's probably the belt is new and it hasn't been given any motion. But it does rotate. Look, it's moving. I'm manually turning it. And we have our bed levels. These bolts here in here are for bed level. So you would level down here. Actually, that's weird. They have the level. I think they got this. I think this is wrong. Something's wrong here. Something's wrong, Jerry.
Okay. I haven't got that far, so I don't have an opinion yet.
Here's why I think something's wrong. The heat plate is back here. And it does heat just where the nozzle is touching. So it's all that heating area. Maybe it's right. All that heating area is heating right up to here. And as soon as a part leaves this area and it's printed, it cools off. Logic would tell me you'd want to heat back here where the heat plate starts. Start printing here.
You want to heat in advance of it printing.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think it's...
Well, that's what you just said, basically. You want to heat from the nozzle back towards where it's feeding from. That way it's preheated.
Yeah, possibly.
Then after it approaches you, then it cools.
Yeah, well, after the nozzle prints it cools. Like, I mean, there is from where the nozzle is to where the heat plate ends is about 2 centimeters.
I'm thinking the nozzle should be in the center of the heat plate.
That's what I'm thinking too. Because you want to heat, or at least 2/3 of the way in, so the nozzle would be back here.
You wouldn't want it to start releasing while it's still printing a long part that quick.
Yeah, the worry is, my worry would be that if it's too far off, it'll cool too fast immediately after you print. So let me show you. Turn to the side so everyone can see. So yeah, you look in the close-up camera. This is probably the best. Let me make the close-up camera full screen. Right. So the way the heat plate is right here. So the heat plate ends roughly here, where my finger is, and the nozzle is only about 1 or 2 centimeters ahead and behind it. So you're heating all this area. I understand. But with the alignment of this, you're heating this. But as soon as you've finished printing it and it moves 2 centimeters forward, it should be behind the nozzle. But I know this positioning is okay. But I think the heat bed, in my opinion, if it was slightly further forward, you'd have more area out here still being kept warm. So you maintain bed adhesion until the part is moved away. But at least then you have maybe 3 or 4, maybe even in inches, maybe 2 or 3 inches, or maybe at least 3 inches or more on a hot bed before it goes out to be cooled. Because if not, I'm a little bit concerned about the heating after the bark, because it'll cool. Going by your layering, it'll probably take 5-10 minutes to get to here, to the edge of the heat bed. Maybe depending on what you're printing. If you're doing a straight line, it immediately gets there in seconds. But if you're doing a part that's say 1 or 2 centimeters wide, it'll get to here roughly a few minutes afterwards, maybe 10-15 minutes. And by then, it starts cooling. So it's actually ice cold by the time it gets to the middle of the bed, because there's nothing under here to keep it warm, which is okay. But there's zero under here to keep it warm. So by the time it gets to here, which is 6 inches from the nozzle, right? About 15 centimeters. The part is cold. There's nothing, and so I understand it will leave here cold, and that's good. But I'm just worried about this here. I think this would be better either if the bed was a little longer or this was further back. Oh, the room for adjustment of bed level, you mean? Glass series. I think that's how you enunciate your name. If it's bed leveling, there's up and down the bed is not the issue because there is about 1.5, maybe 2 centimeters motion up and down. So that's not a problem. But for the back offset, there's none because the mounts for these is actually drilled and tapped into the extrusion.
Is it the center holes there?
Sorry?
On my piece that I'm holding up, it mounts to those
Yeah.
two center holes?
Those two center holes, they're actually on the bottom. That's upside down. So it should be flip side. So they'll be mounted on the bottom because you want to rise up and down. And the problem is you can't move that bracket unless you drill and tap elsewhere. You have to shift the bed on both of them.
Okay.
So I'm just a little concerned about the amount of heating, the amount of distance between the nozzle and the cooling spot.
Yeah, I think it needs to be in the center.
Well, no, not center, but about 2/3 of the way through. Like it was back this much more. It was moved back about this much in here. Now you have a longer area after printing. You have most of the bed heating behind it, and you have a longer area after printing. It's still warm. So then when it runs off, then at least then it has more time to get and to stay adhered to the bed before it starts to release.
We'll have to look at a CR30 or something and see how it's positioned.
Yeah, I don't have a CR30. I would love it. I know they have two plates though. The CR30 has a front and a back plate.
Okay.
This has nothing. This is free.
Yeah, it had a little tiny plate with nothing, no way to mount it.
Yeah,
or anything.
this is nothing here. Just belt. There's open space, so it means it's going to cool fast. So I'm worried for long prints. Not that I'm going to be doing many long prints, but for long prints, I'm worried about that adhesion. I suppose we'll find out when we get printing with it, when we get to that point. So we've been going for almost 2 hours. Thank you all for hanging out with me this morning. I think we're going to wrap it up at that because I do need to make modifications to these parts, to this part specifically, to get it to work. I need to re-drill holes in this so I can get that mounted underneath. And then I can actually mount the main board in there, which I can do offline because the main board just basically goes in on this end where you have the openings for the SD card and so on. The main board will basically get mounted in here, and you run your cables through the coming out through these grooves into it. So, and there is a cover that I have not yet printed for this because I want to see how everything fits before I do the cover in case I need to modify it a little bit. And I will. The cover for this, if there is one, I'm going to do. Jerry gave a good idea offline that if you instead of printing the whole cover because you don't want to cover this, right? You want this to get cool. You want the power supply to cool off. You don't want to cover it. So I'm going to maybe cut the cover and stop it at this point here, and only cover the electronics.
Yeah, for safety.
And then leave the rest of it wide open because you need airflow. So I might modify it and then send it back to him. And like Jerry's done. Did you do yours already, Jerry?
I haven't cut it and printed the second one. I only printed the one cover.
For which one? For the main board?
Yeah.
Okay. So I might modify it. I measure it, modify it, and then send it back to him saying, guys, that cover is bad. You need to do this with it and say, this is the file you should be posting. I'll just chop it off is all I'm going to do. It only needs 2 screws to hold it. It's only covered electronics is all it's doing. Just so wondering, people don't put their fingers in there at any point.
Otter Danger Den is on with 4 people. He's working on something on his bench.
Okay. Who else is on?
That's all that I see from the people I'm subscribed to or following.
So let me see if I can raid. I'm not in Twitch, so let me get onto Twitch. If there's double audio, guys, excuse me. Let me mute my audio while I make this.
Yeah, thank you for joining, everybody. It's been really awesome. And you can check out Asker Printer here on Twitch or over on YouTube. I also stream on Twitch and YouTube.
If you haven't already followed, please do so. Follows don't cost you a penny. If you'd like to support the channel, if you're an Amazon, especially if you're an Amazon Prime user and you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe to the channel for free, because Amazon Prime gives you one subscription per month, and you can do a subscription free of charge through that, and every month you have to come back in and renew it. So we are here. Let me go to raid channel, and we set up the raid over to Otter's Danger. And just give me one moment. Is he listed there? Otter's Danger then with 4 people. Okay. So we'll go over and raid Shane, but thank you for hanging out. So hopefully, all going well next week, we'll get to wiring stuff up. And we might even get to the point. We might be pushing it a little bit to get to the point of printing, but we might get lucky, because I have to compile the firmware for this yet. I haven't looked at doing the firmware. I might try and get to that this week if I can offline, and try and get the firmware sorted out for this, and then maybe we can get going on it. Hopefully, we might get firmware on it next week. If not, the following week we'll get the finalization of it done, and maybe get a print out of it. So let's go over and raid Shane. Thank you again for hanging out. I will see you same time next week, okay, at 11 a.m. Eastern. We're going to do the next phase of this, and let's see how far we get. Thanks, guys.
Take care, everybody.
Sure.
Thank you.
Now let's see how long this takes.
I'll let you know when I see it jump.
Yeah, it says 16, 17. Ready to raid, 17. Raid now.
Okay, it jumped.
Cool. Let's end our StreamYard. Everybody over, Jerry?
Actually choose what volt.
Yep, everybody jumped.
Okay, end broadcast.
So I need 12 volts, so I'm gonna